Week 2, Chapter 2, Strategic Training. The objectives of this chapter is to discuss how business strategies influence the type and amount of training in a company, describe the strategic training and development process, discuss how a company's staffing and human resource planning strategies influence training, explain the training needs created by concentration, internal growth, external growth, and disinvestment business strategies, discuss the advantages and disadvantages of centralizing the training function, explain a corporate university and its benefits, discuss the strengths of business embedded learning function, and discuss how to create a learning or training brand and why it is important. Finally, developing a marketing campaign for a training course or program. Training should be strategic. Training can have both a direct and indirect impact on organizational success. As mentioned in the previous chapter, business strategy will shape the training function. Strategy impacts what gets trained, who gets trained, and how much training is valued. The role of training is evolving from an event now to learning. The learning organization. It is characterized as a company with an enhanced capacity to learn, adapt, and change, has a culture where employees seek, share, and apply new knowledge to improve performance, and the organization where training is a part of a larger system to enhance human capital. High performing companies are more than 5 times as likely to have a strong learning culture. Strong learning culture is positively reinforced through a company that has strong performance. Learning and human capital development. Learning has to help employee performance and business success. Unpredictability in the business environment will be the norm. Companies need to support informal learning because tacit knowledge is difficult to acquire in formal training. As mentioned, tacit knowledge is the learning that is learned through informal means. Something like this would be learned on experience, on the job learning, things like that. Learning has to be supported with physical resources and psychological support as well. And during this whole process, the manager needs to understand employees to develop development needs. Capabilities for strategic training. This notes that the alignment of learning goals and business goals, measurement of the overall business impact of the learning function, looks at the movement of learning to include customers, vendors, and suppliers. There's a focus on developing competencies for the most critical jobs, and there is the integration of learning, knowledge management, performance support, and talent management. The delivery approaches that could include training and e-learning. Design and delivery of leadership development courses is also utilized. Looking at the strategic training and development process, you have the business strategy, you have the strategic training and development initiatives, you have the training and development activities, and then finally, to look back at everything, you have the metrics to show the value of training. Number one, identifying the business strategy. Determine the company's mission, establish the goals, perform a SWOT analysis, look at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and finally determine the strategic choice that would best fit the training and the company. Next, you have to determine strategic initiatives. This is learning related actions that a company should take to achieve its business strategy. It is a roadmap to guide specific training activities, and you want to avoid the disconnect between strategy and execution. With the common strategic initiatives, you want to diversify the learning portfolio. You want to expand on who is trained. You want to accelerate the pace of learning. You want to improve customer service. You want to provide development opportunities and communicate with employees. And you want to capture and share knowledge. Also, aligning training with the company's direction is also important. And finally, you want to ensure that the work environment supports learning and transfers. Now, with this whole process, there are many questions to ask. What is the vision and mission? What capabilities and competencies are critical for success? What type of training will best attract, develop, and retain employees? Does the company have a plan for communicating the link between training and business strategy to key constituents? The senior management support training, that one's important. And does the company provide training for individuals and teams? When translating initiatives into activities, This is the step where you want to determine specific concrete activities that align with strategic initiatives, and these activities will vary based on the initiatives that were originally developed. Finally, this is the feedback evaluation form. This is the final step to determine if training investments were successful. The strategic training evaluation is not intended to evaluate the effectiveness of the isolated program in totality, but the set of training activities. And it also looks at the business related outcomes and see if it would be directly linked to the strategies and goals proposed. There are other organizational characters that influence training: company size, role of employees and management, top management support, integration of business units, global presence, business conditions, other HRM practices, strategic value of jobs and employee uniqueness, and extent of unionization, and then the staff involvement during the training and development. With the company size, with smaller firms, most training in small firms is usually informal and on the job. Training tends to focus on knowledge and skills that employee needs for the current job, not on developing skills needed for future positions. If any type of formal training and development is conducted, it is done through trade associations, short courses, and courses provided by the company's owners and managers. For larger firms, as the firm grows in size, there is a greater need to provide more formalized training and development to prepare current employees for internal promotion opportunities to retain them, give them that motivation. For the roles of employees and managers, employees are now performing roles once reserved only for management, and they are given the prevalence of teams. Employees require more cross training and interpersonal skills training. And now with the manager jobs, these are highly complex and require greater skill and training for obvious reasons. Now with the management support, they want to set a clear direction for learning, provide encouragement and resources, take an active role in governing learning, develop and teach new programs, serve as the role model who you can look up to whenever you are stuck, and you want to promote learning through different channels. Now, integration of business units. This affects the approach of training, and it is in a highly integrated business, employees need to understand all parts of the company, and training must address those needs. For the global presence, companies with global operations, training is needed to prepare employees for overseas assignments, and the company should decide if training will be coordinated through the American facility or through places elsewhere. Looking at business conditions with low unemployment, it's difficult to find top talent. In an unstable environment, training may become short term. When there is growth, training will be in high demand. We're trying to revitalize and redirect. There are fewer incentives for training. When downsizing, training may focus on continued employability. For staffing strategy and training, Fortress, this is limited resources for training, recruit from the outside. Baseball teams create when creativity is needed, recruit from other companies or new graduates. Club, these are highly regulated industries that develop their own talent. Academy, these are people with specialized skills, focus heavily on developing employees. For strategic value and uniqueness, when knowledge-based workers, they have heavy training. Job-based workers, they require less training than the knowledge workers. For contract employees, these require limited training, and I guess from a business side, you can kind of see that if you're already contracting people from outside, they should already have the skills needed. For alliance and partnerships, they share expertise and team training. For unionization and the extent of it, this is the presence of a union that leads to joint union management programs for preparing employees for jobs. Given that unions have a significant impact on HRM practices, they must be involved in determining strategic training priorities. Collaboration is key here. For the staff involvement in training, managers need to be involved, so training links to business needs and transfers that should be supported. Managers will be more involved if they are rewarded for doing so. Employees also assume greater responsibility for planning their own development. Now, looking for training in different strategies, there's concentration strategy. This is skill currency in the development of the existing workforce. Growth strategy, this is the creation of new jobs, tasks, innovation, and talent management, with the external growth strategy having the integration, redundancy, and restructuring from getting growth from outside the company. This investment strategy prioritizes efficiency. Looking at centralized training, there are several advantages. There's a stronger alignment with strategy. There's a common set of metrics or scorecards to easily evaluate this training. The process is streamlined. There is a better integration of programs so that you can develop those leaders in the future. And it's easier to manage the talent, especially during times of change. Now look at the advantages of corporate university model. There's a dissemination of the best practices, alignment of training with business needs, integration of training initiatives, and it is effective for new technology and methods. There's a clear vision and mission, and of course, it's partnered with the academia. Academy. Business embedded learning function. This is when they embed things in the everyday business life to the learning and training that happens in the now. The learning function is centralized but should be able to respond quickly to client needs. All people involved in training communicate and share resources, and there's also trainers who are responsible for developing training material, delivering instruction, and supporting trainees. Trainers have specialized competencies and serve as internal consultants. Now looking at a change model perspective, four change-related problems need to be addressed before the implementation of any new training practices. This is the resistance to change, loss of control, power imbalance, and task redefinition challenges. Now, one important thing is to market the training. Despite its value, some individuals may not want to train and may not value it. Training often needs to be marketed so key constituents embrace learning. Internal marketing involves making employees and managers excited about training and learning. Who is really excited about training and learning? Internal marketing tactics, what happens inside the business. Involve the target audience, demonstrate how training can solve business problems, show examples of previous successes, identify a champion who supports training, advertise through multiple channels, and speak in terms that the employees will understand. Now, outsourcing training. This is getting training from outside of the company and looking at the reasons there's cost savings involved. Sometimes, if you feel that it would save more to get someone from the outside to train and have all your employees work in the business and not have too many employees fixated on this one event. Time and also has time savings, as mentioned earlier. Improvements in compliance with regulatory training, lack of internal capabilities to meet learning demands, and there's a desire to access best training practices. So be strategic. Outsourcing may not be the only solution or it might not be the solution. Be sure to consider the skill set in question that you're looking to train, the resources and expertise at your disposal, the desire for control, the quality of the potential vendor of who you're looking to get training from, and the importance of training in the organization. And the rest of the slides are damn 19 discussion questions. Oh my goodness.